Mr. Beast's Alaska Adventure, The Mystery of the White Wolves. Mr. Beast, alongside his team, travels to Alaska to organize a new and enormous survival competition. Carl, Chandler, and Chris are also with him. The concept of the competition is based on surviving in the most challenging natural conditions, with a massive reward for the winner. Hey, if this adventure excites you too, make sure to subscribe to the channel now. Don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Remember, with your support, we can tell even more incredible stories. Let's continue. When the team arrives in the area, the scenery is breathtaking and impressive. However, amidst the cold, a hooded, mysterious figure approaches them. This person is a young local who is a big fan of Mr. Beast's old videos. The young man, with trembling hands, hands Mr. Beast an old, tattered letter. "You need to read this," he whispers, then quickly disappears into the snow. Mr. Beast, astonished, opens the letter and reads. Inside it says, "The white wolves were thought to be extinct. However, in the shadows, someone continues to hunt these sacred creatures with the support of an unknown power. You may be the only ones brave enough and strong enough to stop them." The team barely has time to ask questions about this message because they need to start filming the competition. However, Carl is not willing to let go of this strange message. Squinting his eyes, he examines the letter once more and engraves the strange phrases in his mind. "There's something odd about this," he mutters. "This isn't just a simple legend." While Mr. Beast and his team are filming the competition, Carl spots moving white wolves in the distance through a telescope. This is incredible because it has been declared that the white wolves are extinct. Excited by this extraordinary sight, Carl keeps his eyes glued to the telescope. Even more interesting is that a group of men is carefully observing the wolves. The men have long, silhouette-like tube devices in their hands and are slowly approaching the wolves. As Carl tries to understand their intentions, he notices one man slightly lifting the tube. "Is there a weapon in it, or something else?" Chris asks. Could these be documentary filmmakers? However, as Carl looks through the telescope more closely, he sees that the men are carrying rifles and wearing camouflage clothing. No, they're not just observers. They're hunters, he says, his voice trembling with concern. The team decides to follow these mysterious men. While the filming of the competition continues, they begin to secretly track the hunters at night. The men, following the white wolves, venture deep into the snow-covered forest. However, the team loses track of the men at one point. Carl carefully looks at the footprints in the ground and mutters, "They shouldn't have gotten lost here." Mr. Beast checks his thermal camera, but no movement is detected. Something's going on. They're not just hunters, they're something much more organized, he says. The team's curiosity and suspicions grow. They decide to review highway cameras to find the hunters. After days of analysis, they notice the same type of vehicles appearing in different areas. They learn that not only white wolves, but also other rare animals have been targeted at 3 different locations they are tracking. At their first stop, they find the tracks of a lynx, but the hunters notice them and successfully flee. At the second location, they realize they are on the trail of an endangered Arctic fox, but the hunters again manage to evade them. At the third location, they discover traps set for a group of wild reindeer, but the other side's movements are always one step ahead. Mr. Beast and his team realize they need a more comprehensive plan to catch the poachers. To do this, they gather information from the local community to identify the routes the poachers frequently use. Carl and Chandler start to track their movements using drones and hidden cameras. After days of observation, they notice the poachers tend to use the same spots within a specific time frame. The team finally learns the poachers' next target and decides to move ahead by setting a massive trap before them. The trap plan is carefully prepared. While Carl and Chandler set up a fake hunting ground to distract the poachers, Chris and Mr. Beast place cameras in hidden spots. When night falls, the poachers unknowingly head towards the trap that has been set. Now, all they have to do is wait to catch them in the act. As a result of their research, the team, speaking with former hunters in the area, discovers that rare animals are being systematically hunted in various parts of the world. Behind this trade is a massive smuggling organization that operates in many countries and profits illegally. The organization is capturing white wolves by using a special chemical to sedate them and then selling their pelts at high prices. However, the investigations reveal that not only white wolves, but many endangered species are also being targeted by this organization. The documents the team obtains prove that the poachers have established a network spread across the globe, which poses a serious threat to the balance of nature if not stopped. As the team investigates the condition of the captured animals, they come across horrifying details. The pelts of white wolves are being used for fur coats, bags, and luxury goods. The bloody trade's footprints reach illegal markets around the world. But the most shocking detail is that these animals are subjected to horrific torture before dying. Many are caught in deadly metal traps, while others are skinned alive. Some are left to starve slowly to death. Carl is horrified by the images he sees, and tears well up in his eyes. "How can they do this?" he whispers. Chandler shakes his head, saying with a trembling voice, "This is not just a crime anymore. It's a disgrace to humanity." But the images do not stop there. While Chandler carefully looks at the computer screen, he encounters even more tragic scenes. A mother wolf, trying to protect her pups, writhes in the hands of the poachers, desperately trying to pull her baby close. But despite all her efforts, the pup is dragged away by the poachers. As the mother wolf groans in helpless grief, Chris grits his teeth and pounds his fist on the table. "This is nothing short of genocide. We must stop them," he cries out. Even worse, nothing is being done to alleviate the wolves' suffering. The carcasses, stripped of their pelts, are found piled up in the snow. Some animals are swept into icy rivers while trying to escape, freezing to death. The team is left breathless, their stomachs churning. Carl turns his head, trying to hide his tears. Chris, swallowing hard, says with a trembling voice, "If we don't tell what's happening, no one will know the truth." Mr. Beast turns to his team and says, "We need to share these images with millions of people. Watching isn't enough. We must take action." There are traces of determination and anger in his eyes. No one can close their eyes. No one can ignore this truth anymore. This will not just be a documentary, but a movement for awareness. If we don't do something, this brutality will continue forever. Chris stumbles upon a video, a small white wolf trembling inside a cage. Behind it are dozens of piles of cut fur. Its eyes are wide with fear, desperately leaning against the iron bars. The poor animal, shivering in the cold, gazes outside hopelessly, tugging at the team's heartstrings. Chandler clenches his fist and screams, "We must stop this brutality." Carl cannot take his eyes off the video, his throat tightening. "Those who do this cannot be human," he murmurs, his voice trembling. Chris, trying to suppress his fury, declares, "We are not just spectators anymore. We will end this gang and show the world this cruelty." His eyes shine with determination. Mr. Beast takes a deep breath. "This is not just a video, it's a call to arms. We will do everything we can to stop them," he asserts. The team's expressions suddenly shine with a sense of fighting spirit. There is no turning back. They will not rest until they catch these poachers. Chris adds, "White wolves are just the beginning. Arctic foxes, lynxes, wild reindeer, and even many other species at risk of extinction are also targets for this gang. If we don't stop them now, the balance of nature will be upended and many species will be irreversibly lost." Carl, clenching His fists adds, "This isn't just limited to Alaska, Asia, Africa, Europe. Poachers are everywhere, increasingly targeting more species. If we don't take action, we will lose countless animals and ecosystems worldwide. We must act quickly." "To stop them!" Mr. Beast nods, his eyes filled with resolve. "So we are not finishing this here. This concerns the fate of animals worldwide, not just in Alaska. We will do everything we can to expose and permanently stop this entire smuggling network." As they conduct further research, they realize that this smuggling network is not limited to Alaska. A huge organization operates in Asia, Africa, and Europe as well. This organization targets not only white wolves, but many rare and protected species engaging in illegal trade. The skins and bones of the wolves are sold at astronomical prices in illegal markets, turning into luxury clothing and decorative items. This situation threatens to disrupt the balance of ecosystems and bring many animal species to the brink of extinction. Hearing this information, Mr. Beast looks at his team and says, "We can't turn this into an entertaining video, but we can help." They first notify the FBI and civil animal protection organizations. Then they devise a bold plan to approach the poachers and gain their trust. They tell the poachers that they want to buy rare fur but wish to be directly involved in the transaction. In process, at first, the other side approaches with suspicion and rejects the offer. However, the team patiently assures the poachers that they want to learn about the inner workings of the illegal trade. Unaware of the team's true intentions, the poachers agree to involve them in their secret operations. As the team begins to learn from the inside about the poachers' operating system, they discover the places where the animals are kept, the routes used by couriers, and the organization's high-level connections. While Chandler records critical conversations with secretly placed listening devices, Carl and Chris gather information about the poachers' biggest buyers. Thus, by infiltrating the depths of the smuggling network, they begin to take action, not only to save white wolves, but also to rescue many rare and endangered animals being abducted worldwide. It is now clear that this operation is not limited to Alaska. It has transformed into a large-scale struggle. During this process, while Carl and Chris set up hidden cameras to record evidence, Chandler and Mr. Beast work to gather more information about the traffickers' trade network. To identify the traffickers' logistics routes and connections, the team attempts to gain their trust using fake identities. Carl adopts the guise of a fake investor to make contact with the organization's leaders, while Chris spends one-on-one time with the traffickers to learn how their operations work. Chandler investigates the financial connections and payment systems of the trade, tracing the trail of illegal money. With the information gathered, they aim to implement a major rescue plan by gaining access to the main warehouse where the animals are kept during the later stages of the operation. Carl attempts to access the traffickers' communication systems using technological equipment, while Chris and Chandler analyze the camp's security setup. As Chris records the changing shifts of the traffickers, Chandler identifies possible escape routes and prepares an emergency plan. Every detail is scrutinized because even the smallest mistake could jeopardize the lives of both the animals and the team. Every step of the operation is meticulously planned, with the awareness that a single misstep could endanger the entire mission. Carl develops special software to decrypt the traffickers' coded messages, allowing them to discover the gang's next major shipment. As they decipher the codes, they uncover that the traffickers are not only involved in animal trade, but also linked to illegal arms and exotic plant smuggling. This new information further broadens the scope of the operation. Now, all they need to do is wait for the right time to act. They stealthily track down the animal traffickers' camp. While Carl monitors the camp with a drone, Chris and Chandler carefully observe armed men patrolling around the site. The traffickers have installed security cameras at various points around the camp, and the entry points are tightly guarded. The team analyses the movements of the traffickers to pinpoint their weak spots. While studying the tracks around the camp, Chris notices fresh tracks from newly hunted animals, accelerating the team's decision to act. The plan is as follows. They will create a distraction at night and release the white wolves trapped in cages. Carl and Chandler intend to generate a controlled explosion sound to divert the traffickers' attention. Chris will use a special cutter to unlock the cages. However, things do not go as planned. The explosion sound is weaker than expected, and the traffickers quickly go on high alert. Moreover, the locks on the cages are more complex than they anticipated, and freeing the wolves takes longer than expected. As Chris hurriedly tries to unlock the cages, Carl keeps an eye on the traffickers' guard shack. Just as they are about to free the wolves, one of the traffickers notices them. The man quickly raises his radio to call for help, but Chandler jumps on him with a quick reflex and silently neutralizes him. However, this brief struggle causes a commotion, and the other guards in the camp spring into action. A tense chase ensues between the traffickers and Mr. Beast's team. While Carl tries to jam the traffickers' radio signals to conceal the team's location, Chandler and Chris maneuver swiftly through the woods to distract the traffickers. However, the traffickers quickly regroup and attempt to surround the team. As the team realizes that they are being encircled, Carl rapidly sends a signal to activate the hidden broadcast system he'd prepared earlier. Within minutes, the FBI and Alaska police arrive at the scene. Police helicopters illuminate the area, while special forces begin operations to take down the traffickers one by one. In a panic, the traffickers try to flee, but thanks to Carl's drone cameras and their hidden broadcasting system, officials detect them one by one. A heated conflict ensues, but the police force gains the upper hand and dismantles the gang. As Mr. Beast and his team watch the operation conclude successfully, they take a deep breath. The traffickers are neutralized after a lengthy pursuit and confrontation. As the wolves are set free, the scale of the operation grows larger. Police investigations reveal that this organization has targeted not only white wolves, but many rare animals around the world. With the seized documents and the traffickers' confessions, officials begin tracing the global network of trafficking operations. During this process, Mr. Beast and his team share the evidence they've gathered with the media and authorities to ensure the story reaches a wider audience. With significant public backlash, environmental organizations and international authorities begin to enact new laws against animal trafficking. As Mr. Beast continues to guide the research and raise public awareness, he establishes a fund for wolf conservation and starts supporting animal welfare projects. This fight has now transformed into a global movement, not just a single operation. Mr. Beast and his team share the information they've gathered with the FBI, environmental protection organizations, and international security agencies. A vast operation is launched, with simultaneous raids conducted in many countries around the world to apprehend the traffickers. Authorities work to uncover all the connections of this illegal trade using the evidence collected. Mr. Beast publishes a documentary detailing the entire situation on his YouTube channel, which creates a massive response. Millions of people share this truth on social media, and celebrities and activists begin to lend their support to this fight. Protests against poaching are organized globally, and demands for new environmental laws intensify. People become more aware of poaching issues, creating a significant wave of awareness. As the team bids farewell to the wolves, an elderly local man, the grandfather of the young fan, notices them from a distance. This man, a protector of the wolves, slowly approaches the team. His eyes shine with gratitude as he places his hands on his chest and gives a greeting. "You did what's right," he says, his voice carrying a deep and wise tone. But this battle hasn't ended here. Nature always needs its guardians. Thus, as Mr. Beast and his team leave Alaska, they realize they have fought not just for a competition, but for the protection of nature. However, this is just the beginning. They understand that they must combat similar threats around the world. Finally, Mr. Beast turns to the camera and states, "We will do everything we can to make this world a better place. If we act together, we can protect nature and all living things." Subscribe to the channel right now. Don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Remember, with your support, we can tell even more incredible stories. Let's keep going.